Habs Nation. Have you ever seen a rival empire crumble under the weight of its own failures, only for your front office to swoop in with a ruthless plan to extract their most valuable asset? In the hyper-analytical, violently unforgiving ecosystem of the National Hockey League, when a multi-billion-dollar franchise begins to implode, rival executives don't offer condolences. They deploy extraction teams to capitalize on the chaos. Today, we're sealing off the tactical war room to dissect a seismic piece of corporate intelligence. The Toronto Maple Leaf structure has officially collapsed, a dismal 32-36-14 record, the end of a decade-long playoff streak, a catastrophic 7-game losing streak, to close the season, and the immediate termination of General Manager Brad Treliving. But the most chilling revelation from this disaster zone is who is poised to profit. The Montreal Canadiens. Grab your divisional espionage ledgers, pull up your kinetic output charts, and brace for an unflinching breakdown. We're conducting a forensic audit of Kent Hughes' predatory attempt to steal Matthew Knies, and why the new Toronto front office must guard this asset with their lives. Let's dive straight into the structural reality of the trade deadline intelligence that has just come to light. We knew rival teams were circling Matthew Knies as Toronto's season unraveled, but the confirmation that it was the Montreal Canadiens elevates this from routine trade chatter to an act of outright divisional warfare. I need you to freeze your analytical processing and grasp the executive physics of what Montreal GM Kent Hughes attempted to pull off. He openly acknowledged working on a significant deal that ultimately fell apart, and the target was clear: Knies. Why is zeroing on this specific asset? Because Hughes is meticulously crafting a highly optimized, physically violent geometry in Montreal, and he spotted a moment of supreme vulnerability in Toronto's crumbling empire. This wasn't just a trade proposal. It was a calculated strike to weaken a historic rival while accelerating the Habs' ascent. Look at the spreadsheet physics to understand the brilliance of this maneuver. Knies is a 23-year-old apex power forward, locked into a fresh 6-year, $46.5 million contract, a deal that offers long-term value at an average annual value of $7.75 million. But here's the critical flaw in that paperwork, the chink in Toronto's armor that Hughes sought to exploit. Zero trade protection until the final year of the contract, with no no-trade or no-movement clause in place for the immediate future. Knies was vulnerable to being pried away if the right offer materialized. Hughes attempted to leverage Toronto's impending implosion, reportedly offering a package of first-round picks and top prospects to strip the Maple Leafs of their only ascending physical anchor in the top 6. It was a brilliant, cold-blooded corporate maneuver designed to simultaneously turbocharge Montreal's rebuild while permanently crippling Toronto's forward geometry for years to come. Now, we must aggressively pivot our lens to why this extraction failed and what saved Toronto from a potentially fatal error. Even as Brad Treliving's front office architecture was burning to the ground, the initial asking price acted as a defensive mechanism, preventing a catastrophic loss. The intelligence confirms that talks collapsed because Toronto demanded a ransom of multiple first-round picks and elite prospects in return for Knies. You don't trade a biological wrecking ball, a player with Knies' size, skill, and potential, to your most hated historic rival, unless they're willing to completely bankrupt their own farm system to make it happen. Liquidating an asset like Knies to Montreal would be the executive equivalent of handing the enemy the exact weapon they need to dominate you for the next decade. Treliving, or whoever was steering the ship in those final moments, held firm on a price tag that Hughes ultimately couldn't or wouldn't meet, preserving a critical piece of Toronto's future amid the rubble of their season. This brings us to the most valuable variable in this entire equation: Matthew Knies himself, and his response to the swirling trade rumors. Surrounded by a historically disastrous 78-point season, defensive breakdowns, a major injury to Austin Matthews, and front office executions, Knies was asked about the Montreal interest. His response was unflinching, a rare display of resolve in a storm of chaos. I wouldn't want to look at it as a compliment. I'd look at it as a crappy thing. I wouldn't want to leave here. In corporate asset management, this is unprecedented psychological stability. The ship is literally sinking. The captain just got fired, and the first mate is rolling his eyes at the rescue boats because he'd rather stay and fix the engine. For whatever new executive group walks into Scotiabank Arena, this quote is a foundational blueprint. You build your new era around athletes who exhibit absolute loyalty during a corporate apocalypse, players who see themselves as part of the solution rather than an escapee from a wreckage. Let's unpack the significance of Canadiens' profile as an asset, both for Toronto and for a predator like Hughes. At 23, Canadiens is the archetype of a modern power forward, 6'3", 217 pounds, with the ability to dominate along the boards, drive to the net, and contribute offensively. This season, despite Toronto's struggles, he's shown flashes of becoming a cornerstone, with his physicality and scoring touch making him a rare commodity in a league trending towards speed over size. His contract, while substantial at $46.5 million over 6 years, is cost control for a player of his potential, offering Toronto a high-impact forward at a reasonable cap hit as they navigate future financial constraints. For Montreal, Canadiens would have been the perfect addition to a lineup already featuring physicality from players like Uri Slavkovsky, adding a bruising presence to complement the skill of Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. Hughes saw an opportunity to poach a player who could elevate the Habs' top six into a punishing, dynamic unit, all while dealing a gut punch to a divisional foe. Let's also audit the broader context of Toronto's collapse and why it made Canadiens such an enticing target. A 32-36-14 record isn't just a disappointment. It's a franchise low point, marking the end of a decade-long playoff streak and exposing deep flaws in roster construction and management. The 7-game losing streak to close the campaign was a death knell, and Treliving's termination was the inevitable fallout of a season gone horribly wrong. Amid this chaos, core players like Matthews faced injuries, and veterans underperformed, leaving Canadiens as one of the few bright spots, a young, ascending talent in a sea of mediocrity. For Hughes, targeting Canadiens wasn't just opportunistic. It was strategic warfare, stripping Toronto of a player like him would extend their rebuild timeline, potentially keeping them out of contention while Montreal surges ahead in the Atlantic Division. It's the kind of move that reshapes rivalries for a generation. Now, let's consider why Hughes' gambit failed beyond just a steep asking price. Montreal, while aggressive, operates under its own constraints, offering multiple first-round picks and elite prospects, potentially players like David Reinbacher or Michael Hage, would have depleted a Habs' own pipeline, a risky move for a team still building towards sustained contention. Hughes is known for calculated patience, prioritizing long-term assets over short-term splashes unless the return is transformative. While Canadiens fits the physical mold Montreal craves, the cost may have been deemed too high, especially with Toronto refusing to budge on their demands. Additionally, internal confidence in the current roster, buoyed by Suzuki's 100-point season and a playoff berth, likely tempered Hughes' urgency to overpay, allowing him to walk away when the price didn't align with his valuation. Let's explore the psychological and cultural impact of Canadiens' loyalty on Toronto's future. His refusal to entertain the idea of leaving, even as a compliment from a rival like Montreal, is a rare asset in today's player-empowered NHL. It signals a buy-in that new management, whomever replaces Treliving, can build around. Canadiens isn't just a physical force. He's a cultural cornerstone, a player who embodies resilience and commitment during the darkest of times. Pairing that mindset with emerging talents or retooled veterans could be the foundation of Toronto's revival, assuming the new GM avoids the missteps of the past. For Montreal fans, it's a missed opportunity to land a player who could have been a fan favorite at the Bell Center, but it also underscores Hughes' discipline in not overreaching during a rival's moment of weakness. Finally, let's deliver the executive verdict on this predatory saga. The Toronto Maple Leafs are entering the most volatile offseason of their modern era. The roster will be ruthlessly audited, and major liquidations are inevitable as they attempt to rebuild from the ashes of a failed campaign. But the new leadership group must treat Matthew Canadiens as a mathematically untouchable asset. Kent Hughes and the Montreal Canadiens expose a critical truth. The rest of the league knows exactly how valuable a cost-controlled 23-year-old power winger is, especially one with Canadiens' physical tools and mental fortitude. The Maple Leafs survived the initial ambush, holding firm against Hughes' calculated strike, but the Vultures are still circling. Other GMs will take note of Toronto's vulnerability and test the waters again. The blueprints are stained with failure, and the general manager's office is empty, but Canadiens remains a beacon of hope, if they can protect him. I'm turning the floor over to you in the comments. Step into the GM's chair. Was Kent Hughes' attempt to extract Matthew Knies a missed opportunity for Montreal, or did Toronto's steep asking price save them from a fatal mistake? Crush that subscribe button now to lock in your permanent executive access to this war room. Slam the like button to overpower the algorithm. Keep your sights locked on the divisional trade wires, and stay fiercely tuned in for our next tactical breakdown.